everyone, Michelle here from Scrappy Soul Sister, and I am here with you today with a layout using the sketch with the My Creative Scrapbook kit. Now, this is the limited edition kit, and so it is full of Cherry Sweet by Prima, but there's also a few other doodads that are available to us, and the flowers this month are just so gorgeous. Just an example. And so I'm really looking forward to putting this layout together. Now, the sketch has 3 pictures, and so I hit my daughter. I have not been to Paris, but my daughter has, so I hit her up with some pictures because we have this little Paris word strip, and I'm going to use that for my little title. And I think I will just keep it with this orientation that shows a little bit of interest over here on the side with the floral or with the butterflies. And yeah, so that's kind of my plan. It should be pretty straightforward, so we'll see if that's really true. So here we go. All right, so off camera, I went ahead and put down my 2 pieces that I'm going to be using according to the sketch there. And so I have the blue and the pink, and I have inked both of those and backed them in white. And so the blue I inked with peacock feathers, and then quiche flamingo for the pink. And so now I'm taking a look at some tags, how I want to embellish this layout. So on the sketch, it has the title and a little embellishment cluster there to the left. Now, I might have mentioned already, my pictures are from Paris and France from my daughter's trip there. This trip was probably 4 years ago now. And I'm looking everywhere for the top picture. And it takes me a long time to move the middle picture and find that they were stacked together. But I do figure it out. So just hang in there. And so I am figuring out how I want to use my flowers. And as you can see, now I have created an embellishment cluster up to the left as well. That is not part of the sketch, but it felt like for the direction I was going, it needed a little bit of balance. And so that is what that cluster will create. I do a lot mixed media on this layout, but I do want to use the stencil that came in the kit. And so I'm just going to stencil with the same peacock feathers along the heart outline. Um, Portion of the stencil. And it's not going to show completely. It's going to tuck behind the photo strip there. And I am also going to do just a little bit more up at the top left, but rather than using the heart portion, I'm going to use some of the flowers that are along the corner. And so it just adds just a little bit more blue or teal or aqua or whatever you want to call that color to the layout. So there is a stamp set that comes in the kit, so I'm going to use some of those elements as well. So I'm going to use the word strip that says, "Here comes the sun," under my Paris picture, and I am using Catherine Pooler slate ink for that. And then there is a floral that I really like. I've used it on a couple different layouts, and so I'm going to use it on this one as well, just in some of the areas where there might be a little bit of embellishment. So I am doing it just in areas that are going to peek through. So a couple in the corners there, and then a couple there towards the center where I had the heart stenciling. And now yeah, it's time to start adhering. And so I am doing things a little bit askew. That's not how it was in the um, sketch, but this way the angle will come right down into my embellishment cluster and right towards the Eiffel Tower picture, which is really the main picture on this layout. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out my photos there and start looking at some embellishments. So I want to do this round piece to kind of represent the round element in the sketch. And other than that, I am just kind of playing around, seeing what I like together. Uh, and figuring out what color florals I'm going to use, all of that kind of fun stuff. And so I'm going to show you a lot of the uh, selection process on this layout. And so I decide I want to add a little bit of white. And so I dig in my stash. I tend to keep some die cuts pre-cut. So I have some little stems and leaf pieces that I'm going to be adding to the floral. So I pull a bunch of those out. I'm going to mount my photos just on, I have some chipboard scraps that I am working through, and so I'm going to use those to give my photos a little bit of a lift. And so uh, don't uh, don't be shy about being creative as far as what you can use to give a little bit of dimension. I've used fun foam, I've used chipboard, I've used uh, foam and chipboard pieces from sets and thickers that I am never going to use. And so I just use them to mount up my photos or other embellishments. And so it's a good way to recycle um, supplies you might already have. And so I'm taking a look at what kind of word strips I want to use. And so I picked uh, the one in French up at the top, and then a never ending daydream above, between the top two pictures, and then uh, the one that's in French that says Paris above the Eiffel Tower there. I have switched out um, or added a chipboard element on top of my circle there, um, just to tone it down a little bit. And then I'm going to put Paris word strip on top of that, and that's going to be my little title. So love the hot air balloon elements in this kit, and so I am going to use the tag that has the hot air balloon. I have tied it off with some waxed floss, and I am going to mount that up on foam tabs and go ahead and adhere that. I have that little pink strip underneath it. And there is my round element. And so all of that is coming together pretty well, figuring out where I am going to put my Paris word, but it is going to go to the bottom. Getting some adhesive to put on the back of that. And now I'm looking at some of the other little elements. And I decide I'm going to build up the corner piece and see where I'm at. And so I am going to use that little frame. That's just a great way to support flowers and give a little peekaboo behind for things behind it if I leave space. I am going to use um, some butterflies up there. I can't tell. I think I have a couple of the butterflies pulled there. And I've decided I'm not going to do any more mixed media. And I don't remember if it was on camera. I did do quite a bit of the peacock and the worn lipstick around the outer edge of my layout. So you can see that's a little bit highlighted. So digging through some embellishments. I like that rabbit with the fairy running away from that cluster. I like that uh, word phrase at the bottom, so I'm going to go forward with that. I take a look at the hot air balloon up at the top left, but I decide against it. I can't remember why. I think it might have been the colors felt a little neutral. So I'm trying to decide what else I might want to put up there. And I think it's going to be a hedgehog for the win. Yes. So that little guy is going to stay up there. I'm going to use that. This is everywhere I want to be phrase that is up at the top there. And I'm taking a look at some hearts and where I might want to place those. Now I try, to go from large to small, both from the bottom to the top, of course, but also from the center going out. And so I have that little gal who just sits there really nicely with that cut edge she has at the bottom. And so I am going to use those cherries and just kind of try to build a feeling of abundance there with that cluster. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that word strip. I'm going to use uh, double stick foam behind the rabbit's head there to give him a little bit of movement. And now I'm taking a look at my flowers, and I do use primarily, or I think exclusively, the mint and the red on this layout. I play with the ivory, but I wanted something to feel a little bit bolder, and so um, let's see, what else do we have going on here? And then in the sketch, it has a couple different spots going up the photos for embellishments, but I decide just to do a little one there to the right of the photo. I think because I, created some space when I had the paper going in two different directions, so that created a bit of a gap there that I wanted to fill. So I am going to keep it somewhat minimal, but I will be building over there as well. And I'm taking a look at my little sprigs and where I want to add those. Then some butterflies. And so let's see, I do have butterflies that I will be using just about, it's going to look kind of like they're flying from that top cluster down through the main cluster and then up to the top right. So I do have like that little green embellishment that was in the embellishment pack, and so I have put that behind the A Never Ending Daydream and added a little heart, adding a few little sprigs. And yeah, I think that this is coming together really well. Okay, everyone, it's live Michelle again because my camera ran out of juice and I didn't realize it. So I finished my layout, but it's really close to being done from what you were watching during the process. So I'm just going to talk through a few things. I added a little floral element in here and then mounted my hedgehog on it and added one of the light mint flowers to go with a red one, added a little heart and my little sprigs there, a butterfly here, and then I added pearls to both of my butterflies there. And then on this side, I think it was primarily done. I just added pearls to that butterfly. And then over on this side, I switched out the pink flower for a mint one. And I have my little sprigs that I added. I added a butterfly here and then put pearls down the spines of both of those. And then I added a couple of little hearts. So, like I said, really, really close to being done, but my camera decided it needed juice, and I'll have to do a better job of keeping an eye on it next time. So, thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of your likes and comments, and subscribe if you like the comment and you want to see more of these in your feed. Here are some close-ups, and be sure to check out my creative scrapbook. You will love their kits. Bye, everyone.